So, um, this is the lecture we held in public at Folkuniversitetet on the 22nd of April 2025, Earth Day. So, it's an Earth Day lecture. And now I shall describe a bit about myself and about the Earth Organization for Sustainability, which is responsible for this lecture. My name is Enrique Lescure, and I'm a board member of the Earth Organization for Sustainability. I'm a political scientist and an author. And the Earth Organization for Sustainability, founded in 2006, is an independent association, also so-called ideell förening. It's a holonic organization composed of autonomous groups, and its goal is testing alternative socio-economic systems. The method is project work and research, which means that we are making hypotheses about an alternative system and then we are testing it on a smaller scale to see what works and what doesn't work. To the left here you see a biodome which we built and donated to the urban gardeners of Umeå. It stands in Ålidhem and you can visit it if it's in Umeå. It's black nowadays because we changed the panels. So during the 21st century, our biggest challenge is the convergence of environmental crisis. You all are familiar with the climate emergency. What fewer people are familiar with is that we also have a soil and a freshwater crisis where 1/3 of the Earth's soils and 1/3 of the freshwater reservoirs are under extreme duress. So there is a big debate regarding environment, and that is whether decoupling is possible or not. So firstly, let us explain what decoupling is. Decoupling is when we replace fossil-based technologies and non-renewable technologies with renewables and green tech. So we have seen a growth of green technologies since 1990s, but in the same time we see increased environmental degradation. The world economy has grown by 4,000% since the year 1900, which is pretty good for a lot of people. We are not against people living better lives, but if that life is unsustainable, it is not very good at all in the long term, and we must think about the long term. So what we are going to talk about is a conflict within the green movement, and the conflict is centered on the issue whether decoupling is possible or not. And often proponents on both sides of the debate tend to talk as if this is what they want rather than what is needed. So often center to liberal Greens used to think that decoupling is possible, and the climate emergency is caused by the usage of bad technologies, but that capitalism and the effects of the capitalist system usually are benign. Then the critics, who tend to stand at the left or the deep green perspective, tend to say that decoupling is not possible. The climate emergency is caused by uncontrolled growth. So decouplers want green growth, and those who don't believe in decoupling generally want degrowth. So where does the US stand in this? We stand in the perspective that decoupling is not possible, and we are citing Stanley Evans, who was a huge pro-capitalist British economist who lived during the 19th century. And he noticed that more effective technologies actually led to a usage of more acres of resources. And this is because increased efficiency makes previously non-competitive areas competitive. A case in point is the Amazon rainforest since the 1990s, because the soils there used to be very sulfuric and very acidic. But with new fertilizers and new technologies to de-acidify the soil, the Amazon opened up for agriculture and for pasture, which has led to an increased deforestation. Another case in point is the tar sands in Canada, which are oil-rich deposits of sand, which are pretty large, and previously these were not profitable to exploit because the yields were too low to motivate exploitation. But with new and more effective diesel and gas engines, the structure of exploitation has changed, and areas which previously had too low shares of oil deposits have suddenly become very competitive. And it should be noted that oil companies are prospecting for finds in the Arabian Sea and on Greenland as well. So we have 3 criteria for a sustainable future. And those are what the US talk about as an alternative to green growth, since the US does not believe that decoupling is possible because of the aforementioned reasons. There are more reasons why green growth is not possible, but this is a short lecture, so we aren't going into that. The most important criterion for sustainability is the global ecological budget ceiling. We should limit total output of what resources we are allowed to use to what 1.0 Earth can renew per year. And currently globally it's on 1.7 Earth per year. If everyone would live as in Europe, it would be like 4 Earth per year, which we do not have. But 1.7 is too much. So it would eliminate uncontrolled growth. We would have a limit on how much resources we may take out from the planet. A circular economy, which is something that all Greens believe in, whether they are decouplers or non-couplers, we are probably going a bit farther. So full integrated life cycle of all economic activities, that we monitor every product and similar. All Greens are for that. Doing more with less. All Greens are for that. Here, the third point here is that we only produce stuff when people ask for it. So in the future, a cell phone should only be produced when someone actively orders that cell phone. It is not so that 500,000 units should be produced and then a market should be found for them. So only produce stuff when people ask for them. And this is something that is quite unique for the EOS. And the third point is a global income floor, because if we are putting a limit on what resources we can take out, we can no longer motivate the inequality of the world with that things are going to grow anyway, so that all boats are going to rise when the sea rises, because the sea is not endless. And the idea is that nobody should live destitute, so no one should be homeless, no one should be starving, no one should be barred from education or from opportunities. Everyone should have a decent shot at life. We are 8 billion people and we need to share this planet. So now we are going to discuss how we are doing it, and I've titled this slide Energy, the Currency of the Universe, because that is what energy is. The EOS model of a future socio-economic system is a moneyless system, primarily based on energy. And energy is the currency of the universe because it makes everything possible. Life would not exist without energy. Life on our world would not exist if not for the sun. The sun is our main and primary source of energy. And energy is also necessary for you to take a walk, for an escalator to move up or down, and for everything that happens inside our observable universe. So we are looking at using energy from two perspectives. So we are looking at exergy, which is the total energy stored in a closed system, the total energy potential in a closed system. That's exergy. And then emergy, and that's the total energy cost to perform an action, like for example heating a cup of coffee or producing a cell phone. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, just utilized, used and wasted. So the design is the name of our proposal. It's built on several institutions, and these institutions are actually four in number: the Technate, the Energy Survey, the Energy Credits and the Hollands. So first to the Technate. The Technate is envisioned as a global international network. It is not a state, it is not a government. It is not holding any legislative, executive or political powers. It won't have any armies, it won't have any flags, any anthems or any structures like that. The Technate will just have three responsibilities: the compilation of the Energy Survey, the distribution of energy credits, and the monitoring and facilitation of allocation of energy credits. So most people who are living inside the technate would not really be aware of it. The Energy Survey is envisioned as an ongoing study of all ecosystems and resources on the Earth. It will be conducted decentrally by actors from all over the world. Of course, it's going to be compiled by and for the usage by the technate, but it will be completely transparent and accessible on a wiki basis almost. And the idea is that everyone could bring information there to make such an accurate image of the energy survey as possible. So if we're going to determine the global ecological budget ceiling for the next measurement period, and it will be based on the exergy of what the Earth can provide within the ecological budget ceiling. And directly when an energy survey is ready to be implemented as a global ecological budget, the next one will begin. So the energy survey compiled during period 0 will be used during period 1. The energy survey compiled during period 1 will be used during period 2, and so on. So it will be an ongoing process. Now to my favorite bit, the energy credits. So the global ecological budget, the total exergy budget, is divided into energy credits by the technate. So it's going to be divided into a specific number of energy credits, which are distributed to citizens, public utilities and private cooperative associations, in short HOLOs, and represent the total production capacity beneath the budget ceiling, so the total exergy. An energy credit can only be used once. It is deleted when used and transformed into information about an allocation. So they can circulate because they represent production capacity. And they cease to exist after the energy survey period when they were issued. So that is again because they represent specific production capacity, so they cannot be saved over an energy survey period. And how it works: people do not buy things, people allocate their energy credits to what they want produced for them. Prices are determined by the energy cost, the cost of producing an item, and then we are looking not only on the assembly, we are looking at raw materials extraction, refining, assembly, transporter, and the cost of restoring and compensating damaged environment. So there will be no profits in this system. No extra energy credits will be earned, so there will be no surplus, and there won't be any anyway because energy credits are destroyed when used. So as for incentives, HOLOs which are well liked by their users could see all their members receive higher income of energy credits during the next energy survey period, while those who slack or are doing subpar or low quality work could see their energy credit income being reduced. So we can look at economic and ecological benefits now. The global ecological budget ceiling will reduce the ecological footprint. That says itself because it will put a cap on 1.0 Earth. Prices are going to reflect the ecological impact of products and services, and the more ecologically friendly a product is, the cheaper it will become. It's the opposite in today's system, it will be said, because under capitalism the ecological cost is socialized. There will be no advertising because there is no incentive to do advertising, because you cannot make more products than people are asking for. And regarding on-demand production, where there is feasible, one cannot make on-demand production of tomatoes, but for cell phones, probably, we could see up to a 70% reduction of the production of goods, because advertising today is actually creating some consumption which otherwise wouldn't be. So people would request fewer products, and reduced incentives to produce will help the planet recuperate. Also, since there will be less competition, there will be more efficient usage of space and buildings. So instead of 4 factories to make cell phones for 4 producers, we could see 1 factory shared by 4 producers, and these 4 producers would use the factory during different times of the day. Also, a process of modularization, where things will be made easier to repair, and people could repair parts themselves and similar. Intellectual property rights would probably be reduced, which would help a lot in accessibility. Regarding social benefits, an income floor of energy credits guarantees a minimum standard of life. So not that everyone will live on a minimum standard, but there will be no one who lives in destitution. Therefore, we will see a reduced inequality between countries, and therefore less human trafficking, less fraud, and less exploitation. We won't see any generational inequality built up, because energy credits cannot be saved. You will see less work time because production is reduced. And we will see less unemployment as well, since the technate is paying out all the hour compensation and energy credits to everyone. So basically there won't be any incentive to not hire people and to not make people move into employment. In fact, it is going to be an incentive to put as many people as possible to work for the local communities. So what we will see is more time for family, friends and passions. What projects are we looking at then and working with? We work by testing aspects of design on a smaller scale. So what our dream right now is to build partially self-sufficient communities in conjunction to existing villages and towns. And internally they can apply part of energy accounting. For example, if they produce their own energy, food, heating, clothes or other local equipment, they can use energy accounting to measure the usage there and then see how it could be applied. And another project that we recently started with is Climatopia, a climate simulator. And it began as an idea for a book, the Climate Battlefield Manual, which was going to debunk the typical climate denialist arguments. And it's based on my experience as a substitute teacher, when I saw that a game might be a better idea than a book. So I was teaching children about the Stone Age, and I set them to play an online Stone Age game called Pre-Civilization Stone Age, and the game is very much designed to make uh, children play it a lot, so it's quite addictive because you want to win and it's difficult to win. And everyone in that class passed the test perfectly because the game contained everything that was going to be in the test. So Climatopia is going to be a strategy game simulating climate change, and the player commands the UN. It will be civilization style, so you're moving on a world map and similar. It will have a high score system, and on the 15th of November 2023, we were at Startup for Climate and pitched the Climatopia game, and it was quite fun. And what we saw then was quite interesting in general. But we did not win the pitch, but we have produced an alpha of the game actually. And I will not say that the alpha represents what the game is going to be, but it's a beginning. So that's where we are. We are looking for funding for the game still, and the proceeds are going to go to the New Leader project and similar projects. So thank you for your time, and you are very welcome to visit our website at eosprojects.com, as well as visiting Swish if you are Swedish, and give us a small donation if you think that what we are doing is good. Thank you very much.